when they interviewed the Dighton cop.
Yeah. Oh, right. I almost forgot that.
Yeah.
Jesus
So
Christ.
when they interviewed the Dighton cop, and the Dighton cop said, "I saw the headlight. That's allegedly pulverized, right?
Yeah, the tail light.
Yeah, the tail light, right? Allegedly pulverized. I mean, we saw Proctor just take out giant shards of tail light out of a bag, and there I'm talking big pieces of glass." And the Dighton police officer said, "Yes, I saw the tail light. It was cracked, but by no means damaged." We got another episode of Intellectual Dummies. We're doing a follow-up episode on Karen Reed. I got Mike DeSimone with me, and today we're going to be getting into this last week and the Massachusetts State Police. So we'll be the biggest thing was Michael Proctor this week, I think,
without a doubt.
And we're going to be talking about why the state police, why we're a little bit reluctant to trust them.
Yeah, there might be a couple of reasons.
Yeah,
one or two.
Yeah.
One or two.
So we'll get into that at the end. So I guess, we'll just start with, Michael Proctor. That dude. I don't know where to start. I don't know if you want to start us off over here.
It's tough. It's a tough decision. Where do you start with this guy? There's no doubt that after this trial is over, whether she's innocent or guilty, which there's no way she's going to be found guilty. I don't think a jury would find her guilty of jaywalking at this point.
Yeah.
But he's gone. He's gone. There's no way that this guy keeps his job. And potentially, I think he's going to prison. But let's talk about his testimony a little bit. He was the case lead, right? The head honcho for investigating the Karen Reed trial. I said that wrong. For investigating the incident at 34 Fairview Lane that night and the death of John O'Keefe. On the stand, he basically admitted to never finding a reason to go into the home on 34 Fairview Road because they had their suspect. They had their suspect based off of 4 interviews, never having seen the scene, and by 11 o'clock that night, it was all Karen Reed's fault. It was apparent. Let's just talk about for a second who he interviewed, okay? Jen McCabe, who, I would want anybody to go back and watch her testimony because you can just feel the evil coming off of that woman.
Yeah.
Like she is a total sociopath, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he interviews Jen McCabe, Chris and Julie Albert, and Brian Albert. Now, 3 Alberts, all of whom he knows, okay? And it was proven through the cross-examination that he knew them pretty well.
Yeah.
Not Brian Albert so much, but his brother Kevin Albert, who was a Canton police detective.
Yeah.
Which is why the Canton police recused themselves so early on into the investigation.
Yeah, the Canton police and the Boston police.
Right.
So it's like, okay, let's just bring in another guy who's a friend.
Exactly.
That's kind of what it seemed.
You know what? That's a great point because the Canton police recused themselves because of the Kevin Albert, Brian Albert link.
Yeah.
And the Boston police recused themselves just because this is now not 1 but 2.
Yeah.
But involving Boston police officers, right?
Yeah.
It's the home of one Boston officer involving the death of another Boston officer.
Yeah.
So this is why MSP. We're just going to abbreviate Massachusetts State Police with MSP. This is why they come in to investigate the case, right? So that's all the evidence. There were no phone records. There was no forensic evidence. There was nothing done to make anyone think that at 11 o'clock at night, Karen Reed was the only possible suspect. So we're talking 16 hours after John O'Keefe is found, okay? Supposedly they had found this tail light at nighttime after, of course, the Canton police found nothing during the day. This was after her car was impounded. But again, this is the only thing that's done in the investigation. So what does Michael Proctor start doing at right before 11 p.m.? Starts texting his buddies.
Yeah.
Starts texting. Now, keep in mind, an open investigation is supposed to be kept like highly sensitive, private, like, you know what I mean? But he starts texting, 9 of his high school buddies? And what does he say about Miss Reed? Well, I mean, we know he's texting his friends, right? We also know he's texting other state police troopers, including Sergeant Buchanan, or as I so fondly like to call him, Sergeant Bukaki. Okay? Now, I want to play this video in a second, which is, just to be clear, this video is going to show Alan, it's going to be a little clip together, this video. It's Alan Jackson really making his point at the end of his cross-examination of Trooper Proctor. And it's just absolute gold. I mean, Alan Jackson is just unbelievable. There'll be a point maybe where we pause the video because there's something else I want to talk about in this video. But we know that he, for example, texted his sergeant that he was looking through her phone for what? For evidence? For text messages between her and John O'Keefe? No, what was he looking for?
He's looking for nudes.
Yes, looking for nude photographs of this. I mean, the last time I checked, Karen Reed, who is up here on the screen, is an American citizen and has all the rights we all do under the Constitution, right? Yeah. So he doesn't even have a search warrant to be looking through her phone at this point in time, which is a total violation of the Fourth Amendment rights. Which, I mean, she's going to own the county of Norfolk when this whole damn thing is on. But that aside, no, he's not looking for evidence. He's texting his sergeant that he's looking, and other troopers, that he's looking for nude photographs of this woman. Okay.
And his boss is in that group text.
Sergeant Buchanan, right? Sergeant Bukaki. So, and do you remember what his reaction was to him saying he's looking for nude photographs?
Oh, didn't he say does she have an ass or something? Or?
No. His reaction was his boss, the one responsible for this trooper, gives him the thumbs up reaction when he's talking about this. Now, I want to preface this a little bit. We're a couple of guys. Yeah. Even worse than that, we're a couple of truck drivers, right? But so sometimes maybe we might say, what's a nice way to put it? Uncouth. To each other.
Nice. Word of the day, everybody.
Yeah,
word of the day.
If we see a attractive looking female, don't get me wrong. But what's our occupation again? Oh yeah, we're truck drivers. Yeah, we're not investigators into a potential homicide.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be unbiased about anything.
That's exactly right.
We're not really. We have to be professional under very rare circumstances.
Exactly right. Exactly right. If we're dealing specifically with a customer, we might not say, "Hey, nice ass, lady." But I might text it to you later on. You wouldn't believe this customer. But anyway, that being said, I want to play this video from this point, and I am going to ask you to pause it at a certain moment. Yeah. All right. So go right ahead. And
there we go.
This was hopefully she kills herself. Literally said that you hope that Karen Reed, the subject of your investigation, the woman sitting to my left, about 7 feet from me, that she would just die. Those are your words, right? All of them become a very serious...
Okay, I want to explain something here, and I hate to cut off the video. Yeah. I want you to pay, and this is important, behind David Yannetti in the victim's witness, not in the victim's family seating area. Sitting right back here is Paul O'Keefe, who is John O'Keefe's brother. Paul O'Keefe firmly believes that Karen Reed did this and is responsible, regardless of the ridiculous amount of exculpatory evidence that she did not. This whole trial, and again, I encourage people to look at this trial through YouTube on their own. You can't even count how many times Paul O'Keefe back here glares at Karen Reed, like he's gonna kill her himself.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a death stare that he gives this woman. David Yannetti, and this is an on-purpose thing, 100% in my mind, because what Alan Jackson's about to say is just terrible. Turns his body and blocks him from even being able to look at Karen Reed. And I think this is 100% intentional. I don't have any doubt in my mind that he's like protecting her here. And just on a side note, it's kind of, I mean, you saw a picture of Karen with her defense team last Friday out at dinner in the North End and stuff like that. I mean, Eliza Little, pictured here, David Yannetti, Alan Jackson doing the talking now. They're not just her defense lawyers anymore. They truly believe in this woman's innocence. And they've basically become friends, you know what I mean? And they really do care about Karen. And this body language is a perfect example of it. Because typically, if you watch any other part of the trial, Yannetti's just facing the witness. Or you know what I mean? It's just in a row. But I just wanted to point that out. But go ahead and play the video.
Your life would be much easier if Karen Reed was just dead. This case involves a Boston cop whose family you were actually connected to. Julia, Chris out, Colin out, Kevin out. She's a bitch.
Yes.
A whack job, correct?
Yes.
A retard, right?
Yes.
Her balloon knot leaks, right?
Yes.
No ass, correct?
Yes.
She's fucked, according to you, right?
Yes.
Ass figure. That was word you used, a figure of speech, right?
Correct.
A girl who shits herself and then fuck her. And Michael Proctor, it would be far easier for you to pin it on the girl who's just a whack job cunt, in your words, who you hope just kills herself, right? Shame on you, sir.
Shame on you, sir.
Yeah.
And I don't want to end the video just yet. Watch Karen Reed. Now, here's Yannetti. There's Paul. But look at the look. Finally. And I think she's smiling here, and I love this fucking smile. Because this is the moment where this woman is finally, you can end this now, is finally starting to get just a touch of justice for what she's been through over the last 2 years. But, so there it is. At various points, because this was a summation, right? At various points, he's texting her friends about her being a whack job. C word, okay. We'll let the court document say that word so YouTube doesn't yell at us. Because that's in the court records. That's not us. He's talking about her medical history by constantly talking about her having to be respectful about it, bowel issues and stuff. The poor woman had 10 surgeries in 18 months. You know, some people were asking, well, how would he have had that information? There's two reasons why. One could potentially be Jen McCabe, because remember what we talked about in the previous episode. The whole reason Jen McCabe and Karen Reed became friends was through John O'Keefe because of their shared multiple sclerosis diagnosis. The other reason why they might have found out something about her medical history was when she was arrested. Because one of the things you have to do when you're arrested is disclose medical issues and stuff like that, because they have to be aware of it. If there's a treatment that you need, medical attention, they have to provide that. So that could be another. So those are a couple of ways that Proctor could have become aware of her medical issues, and although he apparently undercrossed didn't know about her surgeries. But in general, the main point here is the way he speaks about her as just basically being a piece of complete shit. And this
was what, 16 hours
16 hours.
Supposed to be unbiased. You know, I mean, impartial, and it's like ask yourself a question. If you hired a painter, or let's just use a painter for example, comes in and then you hear him saying like, yeah, fuck that dude. I hope he dies. Fucking bitch. You think that dude's putting in 100% of the effort?
Somehow I think not.
I'm gonna err on the side of no.
Right.
You know.
and this brings us to the question: why wasn't there 100% effort here? I hear a lot of, well, this was another Boston police officer. Why didn't they look out for him? Why wasn't it all hands on deck? The truth is, it was all hands on deck, but for the other Boston police officer, for Brian Albert. That's where all hands went on deck, okay? So these are that was the text messages. That alone, him being the lead investigator, that alone should get her acquitted. Okay, never mind all the stuff we talked about last week. Doctored video evidence and Sally Port bullshit. And the leaving a crime scene open for hours at a time. Canton police take off before the state police get there. All that aside, these text messages alone, I think, would be enough to basically be like, we clearly have a prejudiced investigator in this case. But let's talk about his investigation, shall we? I mean, from the word go, it's just Karen Reed.
Yeah.
That's all that's discussed is Karen Reed. Karen Reed, Karen Reed. Keep in mind that Michael Proctor didn't wind up interviewing half of the guests in that house till over a year later. Caitlin Albert, for example, isn't interviewed until 2023. This accident happened in the beginning of 2022. Yeah. Okay. Lucky Loughran, I love that. I love that everybody calls him Lucky Loughran. Yeah. Like, I want to go have a beer with this guy, but I want to find him in Canton and just drink heavily because I think he'll be a blast of a dude. But the plow driver, Lucky Loughran, who claims very clearly that he plowed that road, Fairview Road, at 2-something in the morning, and there was nobody on the lawn. And as somebody that plowed for over 20 years, I can tell you that if I was driving down that road with my plow down, I would notice a goddamn dead body on the lawn. Yeah. Okay? But he claims he sees no body on the lawn. And not only that, but there's a Ford Edge parked in front of the house. Ford Edge, a commonly used what kind of car?
Police car, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Who drove a Ford Edge? Oh, yeah, Kevin Albert, among other potential police suspects, is there blocking his way around 34th Fairview Road. He's not talked to 18 months after this incident by Michael Proctor, and then his testimony is completely dismissed. You know what I mean by him? Look, the whole point of this whole thing is that there was no real investigation done here. They had who they wanted, and instead of following the evidence to wherever it takes you, they made the evidence fit who they wanted it to fit.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of my biggest takeaways from that whole thing, well, actually two of my biggest takeaways from that whole thing, when they interviewed the Dighton cop.
Yeah. Oh, right. I almost forgot that. Jesus
so
Christ.
when they interviewed the Dighton cop, and the Dighton cop said, I saw the headlight. That's allegedly pulverized, right?
Yeah, the tail light.
Yeah, the tail light, right? Allegedly pulverized. I mean, we saw Proctor just take out giant shards of tail light out of a bag in there. I'm talking big pieces of glass. And the Dighton police officer said, yes, I saw the tail light. It was cracked, but by no means damaged, right? So
there was a small piece missing.
Yeah, a small piece missing. Right. And mind you, Proctor is taking out pieces out of the bag that are hand-sized, multiple ones that are hand-sized.
And then a ton of little shards as well.
Yeah, so someone's lying, and I don't think the Dighton cop has reason to lie. I mean, he was up there, said his piece, and
got the hell out.
And that was it.
They didn't even cross-examine him, I don't think. And I mean, okay, I'm so happy you brought up the Dighton cop because that flew right over my memory, but 100% accurate. I mean, he went in there and he was trying to answer questions before fucking put you to sleep Lolly was even done asking him. He's like, yes, no, yes, no. He's not trying to risk his career over this nonsense. And he testified to what he saw. Keep in mind who the Dighton cop was. When they took her car, it was from her parents' house, which was in Dighton. So that's why the Dighton police are involved, because they called for local police backup to come and seize the car. But he looked right at the damn thing. Yeah. And had no problem saying it. So who's lying? Either this Dighton cop that, from what I understand, by the way, was nearly killed in the line of duty last year. And he had a whole history too. Nothing. I mean, he almost had a big problem. But anyway, this Dighton cop that clearly just wants to get the hell off the witness stand and does not. I mean, kind of very clearly doesn't even want to be there.
Yeah.
Probably wondering why he is there when you have all these state police. Like, why the hell are they calling me? But, or you have Proctor, who very clearly has a motive and an agenda to keep Karen Reed as the only suspect in this case. Yeah,
because his friends and family are the ones that are being investigated. So, he has reason to lie.
Yeah.
The fact that he didn't recuse himself is reasons to dismiss this fucking thing.
Well, that's 100% right. And I mean, Jackson proved that he even lied to the state grand jury because he said he had no relationship and no, not just relationship, he also didn't know who the Alberts were. This is what he said under the state. I mean, this dude is so screwed, it's not even funny. I mean, once this case is over, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully he goes and crawls into a hole where he came out of if he doesn't go to jail. But Jackson proved very clearly he knew damn well who the Alberts were.
Yeah.
And I mean, not only did he prove that he knew who the Alberts were, I mean, Colin Albert was this goddamn ring bearer.
Yeah.
He's asking Julie Albert to babysit. But what was the other shocking piece of that testimony, if you recall, was Julie Albert saying to Elizabeth Proctor, Jen McCabe wants to get you a gift.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, so I guess that's another big takeaway. A
small little piece of the puzzle. Why are we getting him a gift? Well, according to the text messages, because they're just... Oh, sorry. No, I got that wrong. Let me retract that a little bit. His sister... Michael Proctor's sister texted him that Julie Albert, not Jen McCabe, so I don't want to get that wrong, but Julie Albert had texted the sister saying, I want to get Michael a gift after this is over. And why did she? Oh, he's just so proud. Julie's just so proud of you handling this case. What does Michael Proctor say? Does he say, you don't need to ever get me a gift. This is my job. It's actually really highly inappropriate for you to gift me anything having to do with the case. No, what does he say?
Gift my wife.
Get one for my wife.
Yeah.
Okay?
And I'm surprised they're doing all this over text, by the way. I'm very surprised.
Well, you know what's great is, and Jackson pointed this out because he asked him this very early on in his cross-examination, you didn't expect these text messages to come into evidence, did you? And he said no.
Yeah.
He did not think that his private phone was going, because he has two phones, right? He has his work phone that he uses with MSP and his private phone. And he did not think that this stuff was going to come out. None of them did. Yeah. None of them thought that this was going to hit the light of day.
Yeah. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Well, so another big takeaway that I had was he left, now Colin Albert, when we watched him on the stand, clearly lying his fucking ass off and intentionally just saying he didn't know. Like, for instance, there was just some questions that he answered no to that you could just, any reasonable person would have been like, you're fucking lying. Like, have you talked about this case at all at home? No. Shut the fuck up, dude. Shut the fuck up. The biggest murder investigation in probably fucking the
last 10 years.
Yeah,
easy.
The decade. Easy. Yeah. You're involved in it. Yeah. And you didn't talk about it at all at dinner time. Yeah. With your family who's involved in it.
Right.
No, none at all, apparently. No. So so that right up was like, and it was just a bunch of shit like that. Yeah. Not to mention, days after that event, Colin Albert had scarred knuckles in a photograph he had taken with his friends at the bar. Right. So his explanation for that was he was walking down a driveway or something, whatever it may be.
Had a little slippy poo.
He had a little slippy poo. And instead of putting your arm out like this to brace yourself. Some people put out their hands and you put out your palm. You want to take it with the meat of your palm, right? Like any normal person who's fallen. Or maybe even just take it to the shoulder. If you're an athlete, which he is, football player, take it to the shoulder. You need your hands. Whatever. 99% of people stick out their palm.
Yes.
But what he says is he stuck his fist into the ground.
Right. So, like this.
Yeah, so he's using his fist to
Break his fall.
break his fall,
Yeah.
which is absolutely retarded.
Yeah.
And
I've never seen that before in my life.
Yeah. He said he didn't. He said he had never been into a fist fight besides with his brothers. And as soon as he said that on the stand, a bunch of videos surfaced of him fucking fist fighting.
Right. Yeah,
You
a bunch
know?
of videos got sent to Turtle Boy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Turtle Boy published them.
Yeah.
Of him out there
Yeah.
in fights in school. Although I have to say this, watching those fight videos, okay, and again, people can find them on Turtle Boy's site, and I'm sure everywhere else now, but the way that kid fights, there is no way. I have to say that I'm not saying he's not involved because I do think he was, but there's no way by himself Colin Albert took down 6'2", 220-pound Boston police officer John
definitely
O'Keefe.
not. Yeah.
I mean, John O'Keefe would have picked that kid up and snapped him over his
Yeah,
knee.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? But I certainly think Brian Albert and then Brian Higgins, maybe with Colin getting a few licks in there towards the end of the
Yeah, yeah.
fight, is certainly possible. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But oh my God, how embarrassing are those fight videos? Can
Yeah.
we talk about that for
Yeah.
a second? What a loser. Seriously, what a loser that
Yeah.
kid is. And
I know.
I wish that whole family nothing but the worst.
Or his fucking pull up bang bang
Yeah, pull
videos.
up,
Oh my
bang.
God, dude, you're from Canton, dude.
Yeah.
Not even, like, come on, pull up, bitch, pussies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, first off, someone with an attitude like that is not going to avoid fights.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He's
No.
the typical rich white kid that wants to prove something.
Yeah.
To a T.
Yeah.
And I think all of that being said, his testimony, all that shit, Michael Proctor left him off the fucking his notes there.
Oh, right. Beautiful point.
Yeah.
What a great way to get to
Yeah,
where you
so
wanted
what?
to go there.
Why'd you do that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a great point, right? Because he actually took, so you have Michael Proctor's handwritten notes when he's interviewing someone, right? And then you have the official police report that he makes up off of those notes.
Yeah.
Both of those have to be saved as official documents, but it is the police report that really is what typically goes into evidence and is used. But yeah, great point. He writes in his notes that Colin Albert was in the home that night,
Yeah.
but then leaves it off the police report. And when Alan Jackson hit him with that, oh, that was...
Yeah.
That guy is... Oh, man. That guy is awesome. But yeah, that's a great point. Why did you leave Colin Albert off of the official report?
Yeah.
How about the fact that, again, Proctor never looked into, to bring it back to Lucky real quick, good old Lucky,
No.
they never looked into this Ford Edge. They never attempted to find it, never attempted to identify it. They never looked into Brian Higgins. So Trooper Proctor and his boss there, not Bukaki, Lieutenant Tully, I'm sorry. Both, now Higgins testified about seeing a man, tall gentleman with dark hair, walk into the house at 34 Fairview Lane. Neither one of them either knew of that or followed up on it.
Yeah.
I think they both knew goddamn well, and they just chose not to follow up on it.
Yeah.
All the things that they didn't follow up to, and admitted on the stand, for example, the text messages and the use of Jen McCabe's phone early in the morning hours, the text messages between Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. Oh, I was unaware of that. How are you unaware of it? If you had done a goddamn investigation and maybe pulled the goddamn cell phones, it would have been right there in front of your face. Meanwhile, Karen Reed's in the shit. You know what I mean? In the weeds now. Because you had who you wanted.
Yeah.
You had who you wanted, you know.
And why didn't Proctor go into the house?
Why didn't anybody go into the house?
Because there was a fucking brawl, and it was probably fucking torn to shreds. It was probably fucking broken tables and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, who knows what he would have found? Broken shit all over the place, blood and fucking whatever.
Well, that's the thing too, is nobody's been John O'Keefe was missing 2 liters of blood.
Yeah.
Okay, go get a 2-liter bottle of soda, pour it out, and watch the mess it creates.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's done that. Knocked over a 2-liter.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
shit, you know.
Yeah.
He's missing 2 liters of blood. Where the hell is it? Where the hell is it? Because
Yeah.
it's not outside in the snow. Red against white would be a very clear indication.
Yeah.
It's not along the curb. That wouldn't have gone anywhere. You would have seen that blood.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere to be found outside of the residence. So where the hell is the blood?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. So Proctor was an unmitigated disaster
Yeah.
for the prosecution. I don't think they had any choice but to call him, because if they didn't, the defense would have just rode that alone into the sunset. The
Yeah.
defense would have called him 100%, and you know, they would have just rode the DA on not calling their lead investigator.
Yeah.
So the DA knew they were going to take a hit either way. Lally, I like to call him Lally Gagger. I don't know why. I hate that son of a bitch. Lally would have had no choice but to take, and he tried to pop the balloon on direct testimony about some of those text messages, but no. The other text message too, remember? He's talking to his friends, and his friends are asking if she's hot and all this other stuff, remember? And he's
Yeah.
saying, yeah, no, she's hot, no ass though. Fall River accent, which, wow, I mean, talk about shitting on the people of Fall River.
Yeah.
Like what's, you know, by the way, can we just make this point? He calls her retarded multiple times. What does Karen Reed do for a living? She's a professor at a college that teaches finance, and at the time worked at Fidelity Investments, managing millions and millions of dollars for
Oh,
people.
wow.
She's no dummy. She's
Yeah.
way smarter than this fucking jackass.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
be realistic. I mean, this is a highly intelligent woman.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch her at the trial, she is engaged. The word is that she really helped handpick the jury. You know what I mean? This is no dummy of a woman. She's smarter than me. I'll admit that right now. There's no doubt in my mind. So, yeah, this retard was no retard.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, absolutely not.
Let's be clear about that. But yeah, so they're asking if she's hot and all this other stuff. And pause, I forgot my point. Fuck, where was I going with that? They ask if she's hot. There was something specific. Oh, okay, I got it. Okay. So yeah, in the text message, they're asking if she's hot. He's saying all this stuff about the Fall River accents and all this crap. But then one of his friends asks, and it's obvious that some of his friends had to have been cops, but they ask a very pointed question. Well, the homeowner must be in some shit, no? In other words,
Yeah.
clearly Brian Albert must have some questions to answer.
Yeah.
What was Proctor's response?
Wasn't it? Yeah. What was it? Was like.
Nope.
Yeah.
He's a Boston cop too.
Yeah.
So in other words, he's got no problems.
Yeah.
We got him covered.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all out here now.
It's almost like some mafia shit.
It really is.
It almost seems like some mafia shit where it's like, listen, only mad guys can whack other mad guys.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. No, it's absolutely terrible. So yeah, that was Proctor. Then there's a lot of Commonwealth witnesses that come after Proctor that the defense doesn't even cross-examine because, for example, that the police officer from Dighton, it's just making the defense's point for them.
Yeah.
There's nothing to cross-examine. But just fast forwarding to yesterday, you had the the prosecution call up 2 experts, right? The first was that cell phone girl who tried to explain away why Jen McCabe didn't search for house long, HOS, house long to dying cold. And essentially word salad the shit out of that jury with all kinds of nonsense to try to explain it. Now, I got to talk about this for a second. The reason why the defense had this whole extraction of Jen McCabe searching that, showing the deleted search and then the deleted text messages was from Cellbrite, okay? Cellbrite is used, as I think we talked about in the last episode, as the gold standard of how they do phone extractions in criminal cases. The prosecution played a very interesting game to me yesterday because they had this woman come up and basically say Celebrate is wrong. And here's how I'm able to prove they're wrong by doing all this. I mean, I can't even explain her testimony. I don't think anybody, I mean, you'd have to go watch it, but essentially she's some kind of cell phone forensic expert, according, you know, and using all these other programs and all this other nonsense that I'm not even going to attempt here to break down, prove to her anyway that the Cellbrite phone extraction was inaccurate. Think about what a dangerous game this is now. Because now all of these people that have been convicted off of Cellbrite data, and there are a ton of them, the prosecution is saying is inaccurate.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Which one is it? So you guys use the Cellbrite data. The DAs all over the country, federally, state, all of them, use Cellbrite as their gold standard. And they are now saying in this case, don't pay attention to the Cellbrite data, it's wrong. Are you that is extremely dangerous.
Yeah, that's wicked dangerous.
I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
So now anybody who can afford this woman to come on can completely, I mean, could we talk about overturning convictions? I mean, you've already seen it happen, by the way, with Proctor. The lawyer for Brian Walsh, right? The guy who's convicted in Massachusetts of chopping up his wife to bits.
Yeah.
Okay, had Proctor as the lead investigator. You already see his lawyer filing paperwork saying this entire case should be thrown out now because of obvious misconduct by Proctor.
Yeah.
This is just on Proctor. And do you know how else they got Brian Walsh? Guess the other thing they did. Cellbrite data, showing his Google searches of how to chop up, dismember, and dispose of his wife.
Yeah.
But now you're saying that Cellbrite data is junk.
Yeah.
So
he's looking up food recipes. Come on. Yeah. It's insane.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So which is it there, Mr. Lally?
Yeah.
Is it this is the gold standard of how we convict people? Or is it, well, really Cellbrite is circumstantial?
Yeah.
Because you are about to have, I think, a huge problem on your hands. A huge problem.
Damn, it just goes to show the lengths that some lawyers will go to just to prove something. You know, I mean,
Oh, look at
like
Sally Port.
Yeah, because you can tell Karen Reed's lawyers believe Karen Reed.
They do.
Whether or not she's innocent or not, whatever. Stick that aside for now. You can tell that they believe her. You're going to make that reach now to say, like, hey, listen, we just got to fucking destroy anything that we can. Cellbrite data, I know everybody uses it. We have to try and find a way to fucking destroy it.
Well,
and that's what they're doing.
The defense's expert, I believe his name is Brian Green. Keep in mind the defense hasn't even put on a single witness yet. I think he's going to come in and pound that argument into the ground of, no, that's nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see the Cellbrite expert come in and be like, no, that's not how this works at all. I'm very excited for that. But no, it's absolutely, I mean, again, the Sally Port video, right? You show an inverted copy of a Sally Port video without explaining to the jury that you're looking at an inverted image. I wish we had to pull it up right now, but it's fine. So the car comes in inverted, and then you notice you think you're looking at the passenger side taillight, and if you look at that taillight, how it almost appears as if there's extra white gleaming off of that taillight. And then at the same time, the timestamp is not inverted, showing that it was put on, superimposed on top of the video.
Yeah.
This is clearly doctored evidence. I mean, 100% clearly doctored evidence that was allowed in, which still kind of blows my mind. And this is definitely with Lally's knowledge, certainly with Mike Morrissey, the district attorney, who was just a scumbag. Let's be clear. Remember, we talked about this in the last episode. Mike Morrissey went out there, held a press conference saying that they had Karen Reed dead to rights on Ring video.
Yeah.
Hitting John O'Keefe. Ring video that did not exist.
Yeah.
He never goes out and makes a statement saying, my bad, we don't have that.
Yeah.
Never corrects that record, you know. But that kind of brings us a little bit to Friday again with Trooper Paul. Let's talk about good old Trooper Paul for a half a second.
Mm.
He's he's their reconstruction expert, okay? He comes in with all these graphs and all this data showing that at some point in time, Karen's vehicle pulls up, and now he's talking about all sorts of data points, right? Because these cars do record everything that you do, including steering wheel inputs,
Yeah.
degrees of input, and what percentage you're pressing the accelerator. So he tries to come in and say that she went forward and then in reverse, and very clearly, according to him, she must have hit something and then drove forward, right? They don't really give an accurate time as to when this would have happened, but that's okay. We'll leave that aside for now. But this, and then the prosecution asks, well, in your opinion, what is this consistent with? And he has the audacity to say a pedestrian strike. He then goes on, because keep in mind, the DA has no real medical experts here that are going to come on and testify that this man got hit by a car. So they're using these state troopers with zero medical training to come on and say, oh, well, and this is what Paul said on Friday, is that somehow she hit him with just the tail light into his right arm, causing all those deep gashes that the defense has a dog bite expert about to come on and be like, that's very clearly a dog bite, but forget that. The polycarbonate tail light that won't crack unless you essentially, that won't break like that unless you hit a goddamn wall, is what hit his, or a 6,000-pound Chevy Traverse. But hit his arm, broke, caused all those scratches, okay? And the whole theory now from the defense is she hit him with the taillight. He does a twisty McTwist in midair at 20. So, okay, they're claiming that, first off, they're claiming that this 6,000-pound Lexus went in reverse in a span of 62 feet, got up to 24 miles an hour. That alone is asinine. I have a stupid little Yaris outside. I don't think that thing could get up to 24 miles an hour, and it weighs about 500 pounds in reverse and 62 feet. Okay, forget that. He does a McTwist, the old Lindy McTwist, in midair, hits his head on the curb, causing the gash on the back of his head. And then Mr. O'Keefe, like a basketball, bounces 10 feet into the yard of Fairview Lane, landing where he was found at 5 in the morning. What? This is your actual.
And by the way, nobody heard or saw anything.
Right now, they testify to that because Mr. Lally was trying to certainly explain to the jury why nobody inside would have heard this. Can we pull up that other video, please? Is there a chance to pull that up?
Of course,
And then we're just gonna play that for a second because this is what they actually introduced into evidence yesterday. This is another video by Microdots. Every piece of video evidence that this DA and prosecution has put into evidence has been doctored in one way or another. There is no doubt about it. But let's go ahead and play that video and take a look. So let me set this up a little bit. What the prosecution's put in here and what this trooper is testifying to is why nobody inside the home would have heard anything of John O'Keefe being struck, bouncing around like a basketball outside, and an excuse for that. What the trooper is doing in this video is supposedly testing the braking system. And he's testifying that with ABS brakes, if you slam on them, you won't hear a screeching noise. What? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Bullshit.
Every car I've driven since I was after the age of 20 had ABS, and having slammed on the brakes, they make a screeching noise. But let's go ahead and play the video.
Does that have as far as the sound difference between ABS brakes and non-ABS brakes?
The sound would be different because you would hear a car sliding across the pavement as opposed to just hard braking and engine slowing down.
As far as sort of screeching of braking and tire coming to a brake, what would you expect to hear with respect to ABS?
There would be no screeching of the tires.
In case you missed it, Adam Lally just played a video of the Lexus braking system being tested, with the sound completely removed from the clip. and then has the audacity to claim we would hear no screeching of the tires, and only hear the sound of the engine slowing down. Of course, he doesn't want the public or the jury to hear the roar of a 5.7-litre V8 engine racing towards you. That's because he expects you to believe that John O'Keefe and the suspects inside the home could both not realise there was a £6,000 SUV barrelling down Fairview Road. Sound records by default, which means it's been intentionally removed by the Commonwealth. Let's make this more fair and add it back the best we can. Sam, it's starting to feel like a game of spot the grift. Anytime Adam Lally puts video evidence up on the screen, just how low can the Commonwealth go?
So thank you to Micro Dots again for that video. Micro Dots is awesome at this whole Karen Reed thing, among other. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So they actually had the balls to put into evidence this no audio video of Karen Karen Reed's backing up at that rate of speed in that amount of time, and give it as evidence to a jury. When again, just to state the facts, a 5.7 V8 is backing up at, according to Trooper Paul, a roughly 70% open throttle, which means she's pressing that gas pedal down at 3/4 of its availability.
Yeah.
In reverse. No, I mean, and
In the snow, mind you.
In the snow.
You know, because every single person testified that there was at the very least a light dusting.
Correct.
The very least a light
Right.
dusting.
So nobody heard that, and that's why. And if you watch that video, you don't hear anything.
Yeah.
Okay? And then it's just, it is, as Microdots says at the very end of that video, it's a goddamn grift at this point. It is pathetic.
Yeah.
The entire, again, I wince every time he opens his mouth, because I'm talking about Lally, because, I mean, this trial has gone worldwide as far as its popularity, and I mean, what a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Just what a joke.
I know.
You know?
It's insane.
You know, at this point, even if somebody showed me a video tomorrow of her actually committing this crime, I would still want her to get off, because this is such a goddamn joke.
Yeah.
And it's just awful. It's just awful. But
Yeah.
she did not do it. Keep in mind, one more time, I just have to put this out there. The whole reason the defense has had half of the argument they had is because the FBI investigated this case under the scene. Nobody knew the FBI was out there doing this, including Mike Morrissey, that scumbag district attorney, until they come out and walk into Kevin Yanetti's office with over 3,200 pages of exculpatory evidence, because they felt so strongly that Karen Reed was innocent. They walked into his office and gave him that paperwork and said,
Yeah.
for God's sake, she didn't do this.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
FBI.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, that alone should shut this damn case
Yeah, I
down, but
know.
somehow it doesn't. Somehow it doesn't.
Yeah.
All right. So, you want to go into the MSP a little bit?
Yeah, yeah.
Dare we?
So I mean, you know, all this stuff being said, you know, I think if you're from Massachusetts, you know that at least to a certain degree, the Massachusetts State Police have been notoriously corrupt.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you hear stories going back as far as the Whitey Bulger days.
Oh, I'm sure before that too, but
I'm
yeah,
sure before that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's something Massachusetts. If you live in Massachusetts, you certainly know that.
Let's talk about the last year or so.
Yeah,
Just what's come out in the last year, right? We have the overtime scandal,
yeah,
where there were tons of officers putting in for overtime when they were not working. Making, by the way, and Turtle Boy breaks this down great too. These troopers, I mean, the guy that just Trooper Paul there, makes the least amount of money at about $130,000 a year. You know,
Yeah.
it all goes up from there to
Yeah.
Lank or Tully, I believe. I'm not Lank, he was Canton, sorry, but to Lieutenant Tully making about $230,000 a year.
Wow.
All these guys make six figures, okay,
Yeah.
and good six figures at that. They're
Yeah.
not just crossing the mark. But they were milking, tens of thousands of dollars in this overtime scandal
Yeah.
being punched in when they were not, when they weren't even there, you know?
Yeah.
And then one that I think truckers would appreciate, especially, right? Guys like you and me and anybody else and anywhere in the country listening to this, is the DOT scandal, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, what was that? So there was a state trooper, I don't remember his name, but
Well, there's several of them, but yeah.
But basically they were just selling
CDLs?
CDLs to people.
Yeah.
To the highest bidder.
Yeah.
Or not to the highest bidder, to whoever just had the cash.
Well, it wasn't even cash, remember? They were
Oh, favors.
Yeah, for favors. Repaving driveways, snow blowers in one case. So, okay, so if you're not familiar with driving a truck or getting a CDL license, when you go to test, you have to test with a state trooper who is federally trained in giving this DOT exam, the Department of Transportation, which is a federal entity, right? This is how you get your CDL. And there are several portions of this exam that you have to pass. You have your maneuvers, you have your pre-trip, you have your air brakes. I mean, it all depends on if it's a class A or B.
Yeah.
And then you have your actual road test, right? So companies that had something to give, I mean, drivers that maybe weren't quite so skilled that to pass the maneuvers, drivers that maybe didn't belong having CDLs were suddenly getting their CDLs because they were going through their company to get them, and the company was saying to the trooper, hey man, we'll come pave your driveway if you can pass the next 5 guys.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And I mean, that broke wide open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Oh my God. And I mean, kind of an insult to the rest of us that have earned our CDLs,
I
if you
know.
ask me.
I know.
And then you have Troopergate, which I don't know all the details to, but a quick little side note on it is a state trooper, an honest state trooper, because let's be clear, right? I don't want to categorize all of these troopers as being dirty, but there certainly are dirty troopers.
Yeah.
Okay. One that happened to be on the clean side of things pulled over a young female for whatever traffic violation. The young female was offering him sexual favors in order to get out of the ticket. Okay, I don't have all the names. You'd have to go through Turtle Boy for that, but this is a brief synopsis of it. The trooper certainly says no to said favors and actually writes that she offered them in his report. Okay, very upfront, very honest, no problem.
Yeah.
It just so happens that the young woman was a judge's daughter. The report comes out, the judge says, can we please get that taken out of the report that she's offering basically to blow you to get out of this ticket? The trooper says, absolutely not, because that's what happened.
Yeah.
And people above his pay grade actually removed it from his report.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this whole history of one hand washing another, as it were, and not always for money, whether it be for favors or just
a little black book or something, right?
The little black book, right? I mean, my old boss had a great expression. He's 100% right. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And
it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true.
No, there's been decades long issues with the MSP, and I'm certainly not trying to speak out against good officers out there, because they certainly are there. I've had positive interactions with the Mass State Police. I mean, one night I was coming home from work and I had a Monte Carlo at the time. It's like 2 a.m. and I'm doing about 90 miles an hour down 495, wide open highway. I'm just going to be honest, right?
Yeah.
And I see a Stady parked under one of the overpasses, and I knew I was screwed. So I just pulled over before I even see him come out. And he walks up to me. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm sorry. And he just let me go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, just stop it.
That's awesome.
And you know what I mean? So, I mean, there are great troopers out there, but there is a lot of corruption within that organization.
Yeah.
There's also apparently a lot of corruption within the Norfolk County DA. You just need sweeping changes in this organization. And not for nothing, Maura Healey, who I'm going to stay non-political on this, as her being our governor. I mean, whatever way you lean, I don't care. But she came out with what I thought was the most wishy-washy thing with Michael Proctor the other day. Her statement of being, oh yeah, it's disgusting and it's disturbing. You're the governor. The state police work for you.
Yeah.
You should say what we're going to do is have some sweeping changes within the state police,
Yeah.
and get rid of these people from the top down that were involved in this,
Yeah.
that knew about it. I mean, he's in the text messages with his sergeant and lieutenant talking about this woman looking for nudes. Get rid of them too. Why are they on the, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where we're at with that. I'll tell you, I cannot wait for the defense to begin their case. I think they're going to wrap up their case. I mean, you've had Lallygagger here for 25 trial days now, prove absolutely goddamn nothing in the entire time.
Yeah.
That Karen Reed is responsible for this and has been more defending every single one of his witnesses. The defense thinks they can wrap up in 4 or 5 days. I think they can.
Yeah.
And it's gonna, oh my God, I can't wait.
I mean, it's just very clear that, what is it, the attorneys against Karen Reed, the defense?
The prosecution.
The prosecution, I mean. You got the doctored Sally Port videos. So, the jury's probably like, oh, what the fuck is that? And they're like, yeah, the engine, you'll just hear the engine. You won't hear the screeching of the brakes on this Lexus.
Right.
So here's a video with no sound.
Right.
Like,
Including the engine.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening right now?
What is happening? What is happening?
And even if you can't hear the screeching of the brakes, even if that is true, you're hearing the fucking, it's the middle of the goddamn night, and you're gonna hear the V8 engine, and you're going to hear that rubber against the road. Because, you might not hear the brakes, but those tires are skidding because, for one, it's fucking snowing out, and it's a fucking Lexus with a V8. I don't know. It's just...
You're going to hear the noise of her impacting John O'Keefe.
In a small, quiet neighborhood?
Yeah, a desolate road at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Or no, supposedly at around 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah, nobody woke up and was like, oh, let me just peek out my curtains real quick. Nobody did that?
The best part is you have Jen McCabe and Brian testifying that they were looking out the window constantly.
Yeah.
All night at this goddamn party.
Yeah.
And
3 or 4 times they said.
Yeah, and didn't see a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, okay, and then they certainly didn't see the body, and nobody saw shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like, why are you looking out the window so much at this fucking car?
Right.
What are you, fucking high on coke or something?
Yeah, would it surprise you? You know what I mean?
It wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, I fucking half speculate that it was a cocaine-fueled fucking drunken fist fight.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. But no, it's just, I can't wait to see how this progresses from this point on. And I can't wait to drive through the soon-to-be-named Reed County.
Yeah, right?
I'm looking forward to it.
Shit. Well, on that note, we'll see what's up. And, we definitely get a part 3 coming.
Oh, yeah.
Coming next week. We're going to keep following up until this concludes.
You know what? I remember when we did the first episode a couple of weeks ago, we said, okay, we'll have one at the end of this trial. And it's like so much just bombshell nonsense happens every week that it's... you can't help but talk about it.
Yeah.
You just can't help it.
Now, did we give our theories on the last episode?
I believe so.
We did.
We did because we had talked about Sandra Birchmore.
Oh yeah,
and all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
and the possible connection there.
All right. Well, hey, on that note, we'll see what's up.
Very good.
Including another episode.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and thank you very much.